I don't tell a lot of people this, but Tom Waits and I have been sending cassettes back and forth to each other for quite some time. I told him about the show we are doing this week, and 2 days later, I found this in my mailbox.
Hey Bob, it's Tom. By the way, thanks for a heads up on that investment thing we were talking about. I really feel like I dodged a bullet, so thanks, I appreciate it. Anyway, I hear you're doing a show on body parts. I got a couple of things here that might interest you. You know, for centuries, women's feet have been considered sexual parts in many cultures, and laws pertaining to their exposure have been written and enforced. There's an interesting interpretation of nudity and eroticism on the books in rural China. The law there prohibits any male from looking at the bare feet of another man's wife. Men are allowed to see anything else they want, including a woman's completely nude body, if so desired. But if a neighbor or a relative catches a mere glimpse of her toes, the offended husband has to kill him.
Thanks, Tom. I told Tom Waits we're doing a show about birds, and he dashed off another cassette. Found it in my mailbox this morning. He's definitely a guy who gets his money's worth out of a boombox. Let's hear what Tom has to say.
Bob, I found some interesting facts about one of our fine feathered friends here, the passenger pigeon. Of course, you know they're now extinct, but at one time they were remarkably prolific. In fact, it's estimated that at one time they made up over 45% of the total bird population of America in the early 19th century. The naturalist John James Audubon reported one flock as taking 3 days to pass and blocking out the sun during that period so that it would darken the noonday light as if obscured by an eclipse. And when they landed, they took up an area 40 miles long by 3 miles wide. He estimated that the flock contained over 3 billion birds, and they passed over at a rate of over 300 million birds per hour. The last wild passenger pigeon was shot by a Canadian in Quebec in 1907. And the last captive passenger pigeon, whose name was Martha, died at the age of 29 years old on September 1st, 1914, in the Cincinnati Zoo. And Audubon's wonderfully prolific birds were now extinct.
What particular species of bird?
It's a pigeon. Must be like a carrier pigeon or whatever.
Passenger pigeon! Passenger pigeon's been extinct since 1914.
One guy who's always got something on his mind is Tom Waits. Let's hear what Tom has to say.
Hey Bob, it's Tom. Here's a little morsel of information. The Jewish people have always had a penchant for colorful cursing. Here are some of the most famous Jewish curses. May God call the tune and may your enemies play the music. May you lose your faith and marry a pious woman. May all your teeth fall out except one, which should remain for a toothache. May you grow like an onion with your head in the ground and your feet in the air. May you have a good long sleep, and may your dreams be only of your troubles. May you be the proof that man can endure anything. May your wife eat matzahs in bed, and may you roll in the crumbs. So there.
Thanks, Tom. That was something else. I told Tom Waits we're doing a show about numbers, and he dashed off another cassette. Let's hear what Tom has to say.
Hey Bob, Tom here. Thanks again for the Christmas card, and the marmalade was just out of this world, man. The expression baker's dozen originated with King Henry VII of England. He ordered bakers who sold underweight loaves to be beheaded. And so, in order to save their necks, bakers began the practice of adding an extra loaf to each order of 12 loaves, just to be sure. So there.
Thanks, Tom. Why, there's no stopping Tom Waits. Every time I tell him what show we're doing, regular as clockwork, I find a cassette in my mailbox. Let's see what Tom has to say on today's subject.
I heard you're doing something on medicine and doctors, Bob. I found something here on the RX sign used today on pharmaceutical prescriptions was originally an astrological sign for the planet Jupiter. The use of this sign originated way back in the Middle Ages, when doctors believed that the planets actually influenced your health, and Jupiter was thought to be the most powerful of all the heavenly bodies in curing disease.
Thanks, Tom. This is Theme Time Radio Hour, where music meets medicine.